I was listening to Michael B. Jordan do an interview promoting Creed, and something he said was that because he thinks that people from the East Coast do well in Hollywood because they're used to seasons. Like they know there's a rhythm of you get fucked up,
Hmm.
then something nice happens, then something, off center happen. Like you get used to the rhythm of like losing, trying, winning, losing, trying, winning. I'm curious I mean, both of you are from the East Coast. Do you think there's any
Hmm.
truth in that, or is that reverse engineering?
I think maybe. I mean, maybe.
Maybe. I
I
mean,
don't
there is
know.
something about getting, getting your ass kicked, humping it through, going to auditions in the snow, going to school in the snow, slogging through things that you do learn some perseverance. But at the same time, my sister, I've always said my older sister is an actress or was an actress and is much better than I am. Going back to what Ben said before, there's other people who should have gotten the
Right.
break.
Right.
She never did, and she didn't like hearing the no. That was painful for
Mm.
her, and she is a true artist. Honestly, between the two of us, like she's a much finer tuned instrument and is wounded by the no more easily. I'm more like a blunt hammer, but really she should have gotten the break. And she grew up on the East Coast too, so I don't know.
One of the experiences that I had growing up that kind of gave me kind of a thick skin, I don't know if it was necessarily being from the East Coast, but look, I grew up a very small, late bloomer, underdeveloped kind of kid, right? I was like, I'm pretty sure I was like 4'11" when I went into high school. So I was a small kid. And so, there was a lot of teasing. And of course the teasing got to me. I'm not sitting here saying like, don't let it get to you. Like it gets to you sometimes. I totally get it. But I would use humor to, just kind of like, make change the topic, like I
Right.
wanted to make people laugh. And I think number one, that was one of the things that really made me realize like I want to entertain people. I want to make people laugh. Like this is literally my favorite thing to do in the world is make people laugh. And I realized, sticks and stones, right? Like there could have been way harsher things that were said to me, and I'm sure it could have affected me way more. So I'm not sitting here saying like I'm, anyone can overcome anything. Everyone has their own experience. But honestly, I think being someone who was kind of teased for my size and kind of teased for like how late, I hit puberty like last year. Like I'm not like, you know what I mean? I was small, and so yeah, I think those kind of experiences I still take with me to this day, and you just don't take things personally, right? Like you just don't take things personally because you could only control so much in this industry, and
There's quitting the full-time job. And I never had the full-time job. I burned that bridge. I got a full-time job at Condé Nast in the interiors as a junior editor in interior. For the first time in my life, I didn't show up. I burned the bridge because I knew once I got in there, I'm too much of a people pleaser. At that age and time in my life, I would have been like, that's a track. I would have stayed. So I went straight to the gig economy, job in it, like you ended up after the cubicle. The next quit is when you quit, when you know that you don't have to keep doing those little gigs in between or during. I was on the set of a movie doing coverage for HBO. I was a reader for them. And they were like, I'd leave my book or script that I was covering and I'd go do a scene and come back. And I remember the director going, when do you gonna give that up? And I was like, not anytime soon. When did you know, or when did you give up? Or maybe you haven't given it up.
no, I have actually. I believe I was kind of in a unique position. I've worked in a lot of restaurants throughout my life, and I've really enjoyed it. I love being in restaurants. But I was working in a restaurant in Venice. That's where I met my lovely fiance. Her name is Carolyn Gilroy. I was working in a restaurant. I was bartending throughout shooting season 1 of Never Have I Ever. Because it's like
I love this.
yeah, I knew like
That's amazing.
when I got the job, I was like, oh my God, I did it. And, once I came back down to earth, my fiance is like, you're right. You're totally right. And so I was literally working shifts in between days of shooting, and I kept working there. And then, COVID hit, and, we were all furloughed. And when it was time to go back to work at the restaurant, when the restaurant was opening back up, it was around the same time that season 2 started shooting. And this was the time where it was like, I can't work at a restaurant, because if I do, then I might get COVID, and then I won't be able to, they'll write me out of episodes and stuff. And so it was this weird thing where it was actually, I was almost forced to leave the restaurant. I think if COVID hadn't hit, I think I still would have worked through season 2, because I don't know how long that show is lasting. Like, it could have only been one season or whatever, So, but yeah, that was the last job that I worked. And I'm really glad that I stayed on throughout shooting season 1, because, I just, like I said before, I try to be as responsible as possible. So, yeah.
Do you still feel new? Like, you've been working, you've been in the craft, which I know you people, actors, don't like to say because you think it's gross, but I can say it. You've been in it
Say
for,
all day long.
okay, you've been doing it for a long time. So you're not like new to the thing. But
No,
like,
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You
absolutely.
still feel new to this. So can you, like, what does it feel like to be new to this?
So it's funny, because when I was trying to think of things that like I want to quit, I would love to quit having imposter syndrome. And although I know that I'll never fully get past that, but what I've had to do is I've had to reframe this whole thing in my mind. I know that I'm fresh to the kind of mainstream jobs. And like you said, Chad, yes, I have been working a lot. Like I've been working on my craft. I'll say craft. I don't care. I've been working on my craft for a while, but yeah, I'm new to the mass audiences. And so I've kind of had to reframe it in my mind from imposter syndrome to a student. I see myself as a student, right? And I think I never want to lose that. I think I'm always going to consider myself a student, I think whether it's my first job or my 15th job, I think I'm always going to make a point to like kind of, focus on a few people around set who are just so professional at what they do and learn from them. I think there's some power in owning your freshness and your newness and all that. And so I want to always kind of continue to do that, right? Like I never want to show up to set one day in 15 years and act like I know what the fuck is going on all the time, because at the end of the day, this is the first time we've all been here as far as we know. That's a different conversation. But like, we're all learning. We're all learning. As far as
Now
we know.
I'm intrigued. As far as we know, do you have an alternate? Do you have like a alternate parallel universe theory going on in your head?
No, but what's funny though is when I was younger, when I was like a kid, like a little kid, and there's no way I could ever know what like reincarnation is. I guess I said to my dad one time, when you die, you come back as someone else. And my dad said, well, did you come back as someone else? And apparently I said, I don't feel like talking about it right now.
No, are you shitting me? How old are you?
I'm not. I mean, young, like young. So
Like
I don't
4.
know. Look, probably.
I don't want to talk
probably.
about it.
That's a good
And
answer.
who knows? But maybe that was just me. Maybe I'm just an entertainer at heart. Maybe that was just me entertaining my father. Who knows?